According to an updated report from Video Games Chronicle, one of the reasons that the Switch 2 has seemingly been pushed to Q1 2025, at least according to their sources, is that Nintendo wants to prepare stronger first-party software for the console. Where have we heard this before? It's almost like the exact same thing that happened in 2016. Let's talk about it. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games, and today I wanted to do an update video, a follow-up video to yesterday's, where I talked about all of these reports that the Switch 2 is now coming out in Q1 2025. Now, since I made that video, a ton of other outlets have corroborated it, including other insiders like Nate the Hates, Bloomberg, Eurogamer. Like, there's been a lot of talk from all of these sources saying that the Switch 2 is now releasing in 2025. And I've seen a lot of the sentiment online that Nintendo is making a mistake, or that, you know, why aren't the games ready? They should be ready. If the Switch 2 was releasing this year, the game should be ready. 3D Mario should be ready. Metroid Prime 4 should be ready. All of these games should be ready. And I just want to say, this is exactly the reason I've been saying that the Switch 2 will not release until March 2025, or at the very least, it's one of the many reasons that led me to my thinking that it won't release until 2025. We saw this exact same thing happen in 2016. I mean, Kimishima himself, in an interview after they announced March 2017 as the release date for the Switch, or at that time the NX, he himself said in an interview the reason they did that was to make sure they had a strong first-party pipeline ready for the first year of the console. And in fact, in more ways than just that, this entire situation is very much mimicking that 2016 reveal for the NX and Switch to what is happening now with all of these reports. I'm going to do a separate video on that because it seems like Nintendo fans just never learn from past mistakes. But I do want to talk about specifically the idea that first-party software should be ready. I keep seeing posts online saying like, oh, all of these games should be ready. They haven't released much in the past couple of years. Where's the new Monolith Soft game? Where's the Ocarina of Time remake? Why isn't 3D Mario ready? Where's Mario Kart? Where's Animal Crossing? Have you all not been paying attention to the Switch for the past 2 years? I'm literally just going to go in reverse order over every first-party Nintendo game that Nintendo has released since, let's say, holiday 2021. Now, if you aren't aware, game development takes a very long time. For AAA studios that Sony has, for example, I mean, those games take 5 to 7 years now. For Nintendo studios, it's more in like the 3 to 5 year range, but more so closer to that 5-year range for most of their major first-party titles. So I want you to keep that in mind when we talk about games that released in the past 2 years, because if this studio just released a game, I'll just spoil one of the examples, Splatoon 3 in 2022, there is no reason to think that they're anywhere close to being ready to releasing a new game. That's the Animal Crossing studio, for those unaware, so there's no reason to think that Animal Crossing is even close to being done. But let's just go back in reverse order, right? So, Intelligent Systems, they just released WarioWare Move It. They are currently making Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remake. They also released Fire Emblem Engage last year, and it is heavily rumored that there is a Fire Emblem 4 remake coming to the original Switch later this year. Intelligent Systems is one of Nintendo's primary developers because they make Fire Emblem and Paper Mario, two major Nintendo franchises. It is safe to say that, at least up until earlier this year or maybe late last year, they had not moved on to Switch 2 development at all. Super Mario Bros. Wonder just released back in October, so I think you can safely scratch off the 2D Mario team from your list when expecting new Switch 2 games in the next couple of years here. EPD10, the team that makes Mario Wonder, also just assisted aiding with the development of Pikmin 4. So I really think, just to really hit home here, EPD10, once again, the developers of 2D Mario and Pikmin, they're not going to have a game ready for probably 3, maybe 4 more years. HAL Laboratories just released Kirby and the Forgotten Land in 2022, which took them 4 years to make from Star Allies, which released in 2018. But since then, they've also released Dream Buffet and Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which, yes, it's a remake that definitely required more effort than nothing. So even if that remake was done by a smaller team, I think the earliest you should expect a new 3D Kirby game, the next follow-up to Forgotten Land, the earliest you can expect that is 2026. Not a Nintendo developer, but a very close partner in Platinum Games. They just released Bayonetta 3 and Bayonetta Origins, so I think it's safe to say they don't have anything coming soon in terms of a Nintendo published game for Switch 2. Of course, EPD3 just released Tears of the Kingdom. That is the biggest game that team has ever made, and took them 6 years to develop, maybe 5 years if you don't want to count the Breath of the Wild DLC timing. So at least 5 years of development for Tears of the Kingdom. Pretty sure it's safe to say you can expect nothing from them for at least 4 more years. And then going into 2022, Monolith Soft just released Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which took 5 years to make, as well as a media expansion in Future Redeemed in 2023. I think it's way too soon to see another game from them, maybe late 2025 at the earliest. Next Level Games just shipped Mario Strikers Battle League in 2022, which yes is a smaller project, but they very well could be making the Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, and if they're not making it, then Grezzo probably is, which is another major supporter of Nintendo in terms of remaking Zelda games. They also just released an Apple Arcade game, so I think it's safe to say Grezzo either is doing Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, or is just busy with something else entirely. Nintendo Software Technology just shipped F-Zero 99 as well as Mario vs. Donkey Kong, so maybe they have another smaller Mario vs. Donkey Kong game already in development, but I wouldn't expect that anytime soon. Another very close partner of Nintendo when it comes to first-party releases, in Goodfeel, the developers of Kirby's Epic Yarn as well as Yoshi's Woolly World and Crafted World, just released their own new IP exclusively in Japan, and it completely bombed, by the way, but that is a full 3D platformer. I think it's pretty safe to say that they don't have another game in development, at least they didn't until late last year. I already mentioned it, but Splatoon 3 released in 2022, with the Side Order DLC releasing in 2024. Of course, that game was updated for many years. Now, I'd assume that was more of a skeleton crew working on updates and DLC, but if you aren't aware, the Splatoon team is the same team that makes Animal Crossing. Pretty sure it's safe to say they're working on Animal Crossing now. It's only been a little over a year since they released Splatoon 3. There was, how many years between Animal Crossing New Horizons and Splatoon 3? 2 years? I mean, maybe that could be ready. I think Animal Crossing is one that maybe would line up to be ready for an early 2025 release or even late 2024, but I don't know, man. And then another very popular one that people just are assuming is ready is Mario Kart 10. Guys, that team, yes, I know you don't want to hear this. They made Mario Kart 8 in 2014, then they ported it to Switch. At that same time, during those 3 years, they released ARMS in 2017. And then, I know you don't want to hear this, they made Mario Kart Tour, which has more content than any other Mario Kart game, and on top of that, they released the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like those were the only things that team was making. I do think Mario Kart 10 is something that could release within the first 12 months of the Switch 2, but it's not like they weren't doing anything for the past 7 years. I mean, they made a very beefy Mario Kart mobile game and 48 DLC tracks for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And that's just what we know about. I mean, we don't even know who's making the Princess Peach Showtime game. That looks like not a huge deal, but I mean, certainly that would take the resources of an entire team for at least 2 or 3 years. And we also don't know what else is coming out this year. Now, just to be fair, I will mention the teams that I think could be ready, and I already kind of mentioned them briefly at the top of the video. Retro Studios, I would have to imagine, is close to being done developing Metroid Prime 4, and the 3D Mario team certainly should have a 3D Mario game ready. But that's not enough. Nintendo is going to wait to release the Switch 2 until they are sure that they have a full year's worth of games to release. They don't have the Wii U ports to rely on this time. I counted. If you count Breath of the Wild as a Wii U port, they've released 8 Wii U ports in the first 2 years of the Switch. They don't have that luxury anymore. They aren't sitting on just a cavalcade of finished HD new games that almost no one experienced this time because they already, played that trump card on the Switch. Tropical Freeze, they can't sell Tropical Freeze again for $60. They can't sell Hyrule Warriors and Captain Toad again as new games because the Switch was a huge success. They can't turn around and sell you Astral Chain again for no reason. Like, that game's going to be playable on the Switch too, assuming it's backwards compatible. So they have to be smart here and bide their time and get all of these new games ready. So quite frankly, with this thinking, when you look at what their teams have released over the past 2 years, when you consider that development times take 3 to 5 years, frankly, even March 2025 kind of feels too soon. I'm not gonna start saying that because I do think it will release by next March, but what do we think is gonna release in the first year, guys? They're gonna want to make sure they have all of these games ready. 3D Mario and Metroid Prime 4, yeah, those are great launch games, and maybe like a couple of months after launch games, but they need an entire lineup. And once again, just to be fair, there are studios that haven't shipped a game in a while. Camelot hasn't shipped a game since Mario Golf Super Rush in 2021, and Indie Cube hasn't shipped a game since Mario Party Superstars, also in 2021. That's fair. Those both could easily be games they release in the first year of the Switch 2, but I would argue those aren't really system sellers like an Animal Crossing or a new game from Platinum or a new Mario Kart. Mario Tennis would be exciting for the Switch 2, and I'm sure it would do very well. I don't know if Nintendo's gonna bet the bank on a new Mario Tennis game and a new Mario Party selling their new console in the first year. They didn't do it with the Switch. It's really funny because I had another YouTuber come to me a couple months ago saying that most of Nintendo's developers moved on to the Switch 2 years ago, and I'm looking around here like, what are you talking about? Most of their major developers just released games in the past 24 months, and unless I miss something, game development takes way more time than that. I would love to be wrong. I would love for Nintendo to surprise us, release the Switch 2 this year, and have a new Animal Crossing, new Mario Kart, new Splatoon, new 2D Mario, new 3D Zelda. Like, I would love if all these things were ready, but if you look at what Nintendo developers have been doing for the past couple of years, a 2024 release never made sense. It just didn't. And I've been trying to tell you guys, man, I don't want to, like, pat myself on the back here, but man, I tried to warn you. So that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you agree that based on what we've gotten on the Switch in the past couple of years, it is way too soon for the Switch 2 to release in 2024, just based on how long development takes? Or do you disagree and think that Nintendo should have magically had all of these games ready? I would love to get a conversation going down in the comments below. Of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch speculation, theories, discussions. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames and join my Discord that is linked down below. Until next time, folks, peace!